Okay, guys, it's Simon with Trade and Perform. Wanted to go through really quick. In the morning, I said these were our most critical areas, right? And I was showing that they're basically the prior day's lows, and that what we wanted to do was trade underneath, trade above, and then get a backside test and push, right? Well, here's an example of where where we got underneath the first potential trap area, right? We backside tested it on the open and failed. Then we came down, but we could not get down to the next two levels from the daily time frame. So what do you do in that situation? So I'm going to go through the process, right? So our next best alternative was the first hourly low. So if you look here, that hourly low was obviously established. This was the low from 9:30, right? So if we make this chart big, and we put a line off the hourly low, you will see right here, first of all, that we traded underneath, right? Closed underneath, closed above. And then as I said this morning, if you go watch the video, you're looking for the orange dot up. I also wrote it on the team notes where I said, as long as the low holds, that's a pretty good volume pump there. I know my spelling isn't great. Into the low of the day, under the first hour low. Now a dot up and a dark blue diamond up too, looking for the dot up first. So what I was looking for here, I said blue diamond, but I was actually looking for a red diamond. It didn't show up. But I'm going to show this to you here real quick. If you look at this low here, this low, okay, so if you go to the 1 minute, right, you will see at the low, we broke the first hour low, and I'll grant you it wasn't the biggest volume of the day, but it was certainly the biggest volume for quite a distance, and it came with the largest volume at the rotation down, right? So normally what I would say in that case, right, this is the bar with the most volume down. Now we're waiting for our blue doji. If you make that wider, this is your blue doji. Could be purple too, blue or purple. Okay. Again, the algo telling us that we had a very large volume expansion, and then we got some indecision. Some people call that passive sellers or passive buyers, right? So that all takes place right down here. Now the next step, right? You still don't have to guess at it, right? So there's where that's circled. The next step, entry on the dot up. Why is the dot up? Now you have a maximum of a 24-point stop. In this particular case, and I would encourage people to measure it, your maximum adverse excursion in this trade goes from 80 down to, so the whole bar was 80 to 65. I usually use a 24-point stop. And the maximum amount of heat you took on this particular trade was 80 to 74.75. So if your entry was 80, right, your initial maximum favorable excursion, in other words, where I got that push, pushed you to 28. And if you held the trade and you pushed all the way up, you almost got 100 points out of it there at 25.774. So the important keys here were we broke a key level, the first hour low. Number two, we got a volume expansion on the 1 minute chart, right? That was this. That was this over here. Number three, we closed back above that critical level. That occurred right here. Number four, you got your algo with the orange dot up. And then finally, you can see I had highlighted, this is the 50-60 retrace off the initial impulse move in the supernova. And you can see you got your second entry there with another orange bar, this time with a blue dot and a double square. And that gave you the rip all the way up to 25.772. And then we gave back a little bit of that into the close. And that's how you capture the bottom. Or you captured the bottom in a controlled way where you can control risk and have the potential for a 50 to 100 point plus trade without taking excessive risk. Okay, guys, that's the summary. I'll talk to you all later.